Hey there, this is Marissa with Marissa Moments, and welcome to Readings That Heal podcast with words of the week, where you might get triggered into seeing your own reflection, but it's to reconnect you to yourself and awaken the divinity within. So prepare for laughs, resonance, and accountability through true stories, channeled messages, and everything in between. So I hope you're ready, because here we go. Okay, so the word that I have for you for this week is ammunition. Ammunition. Yeah, let's chew on that for a little bit. Have you chewed on it? Anyway, let me get a little bit deeper into it, because that word can have so many different implications. I don't want you to get confused or get it twisted. So let's get straight into it. The first line that God, Gaia, ancestors, angels, and saints had me write down was, don't load the chamber. Don't load the chamber, with an exclamation. And yes, I am reading a little bit because I got this download and I have to share it with you. What I received further is never give someone ammunition on another. And what Spirit was saying through me and to me is that comes in terms of gossip, stories, whether they be fact or fiction, because that was something that Spirit wanted me to share with you too, because it's not just about, okay, well, I told him the truth, right? It's not to be differentiated between whether the story that you're carrying forward is a truth or a lie, right? To share a story, to share some gossip or anything like that is in essence providing some sort of ammunition against someone or for someone, or however you want to look at it. And then what I received even further is, don't give ammo on yourself. I mean, come on, people. Do I have to say this? I guess I do, because Spirit had me write it down to tell you. Do not give someone ammo on yourself. And what am I talking about when I say that, right? Because we're talking about ammunition. What we're talking about is negative self-talk. Now, have you ever been in a conversation with someone where you start putting yourself down? Because I know it can't just be me. I'm not just talking about you. I am no exception to any of these rules. That's why I can speak it and preach it and teach it and all those different types of things, because I understand it. I walk my talk and talk my walk. Okay, but we're not talking about me. We're talking about ammunition. Sometimes I might be in a conversation where I feel a little bit uncomfortable, and you want to know what I do? Sometimes I just start tearing myself down. I know it may sound crazy. It may sound crazy. It's like, what? Yes. I'll start talking about something that has been bothering me on my mind, whether it be the outfit that I'm wearing, because I feel a little bit insecure. So now I'm bringing out those insecurities, right? I'm shining a light on my own oh my goodness, self-prescribed problems, right? Let me find these words, Spirit, because I got to get this message across before my family gets home and walks in the door with a lot of noise, right? Because this is real life. So in those moments, I talk about, yeah, I know my shirt is wrinkled, or I know I'm not matching, or whatever it is. Now, let's get a little bit deeper in that, right? Because I've been programmed through toxic programming that tells me whatever I wear is not good enough, right? Now, I'm not taking a steaming dump on anyone for how they treated me in the past, because I am beyond that, right? We are beyond that. But to state the fact that it happened is not to say that we haven't forgiven. It's just that we haven't forgot, right? You have to know where you came from to know where you're going, and to be able to work on what you perceive to be your own traumas, your own toxic patterns, your own problematic behavior, however else you want to verbalize it, you do that, right? So we're talking about that negative self-talk that you might have within a conversation with someone else at like a party or a gathering, because you feel a little bit uncomfortable, and now you feel the need to fill the air with some sort of conversation, even if it means to put yourself down. And let's talk even further, right? Because maybe you're talking about your failures, whether they be perceived or real, because there is a difference, people. A lot of times we perceive ourselves as having failed just based off of our own lofty expectations, when in reality, we might share that same event or same experience with someone else, and they think, man, that is a success. That is a win. Tell me how to get behind that. Tell me how to replicate that, how to duplicate that. How many ways can I say the same thing, right? But here we are providing this ammunition against ourselves. And then let's take it even further, right? Let's go into a little bit of or victim mentality, right? Because we all have it at certain points, right? Even the most confident person on the planet will have moments of self-doubt, right? But anyway, let me get away from talking about that most confident person, because that's not me. It's not you either, but we're working on it, right? Now, those failures, as far as being perceived failures, is because we put ourselves up against some sort of perfectionistic mentality and all the things that are shown on the gram or TikTok or whatever other social media site, or not even social media. Let's talk about like a freebie, right? I've been watching a lot of HGTV or Home Improvement. There we go. What are words? Anyway, I've been watching all of these shows, and then that creates that comparison thing, right? And I totally lost track of what I was saying. Yeah, I don't have sound effects because listen, I pay for all this myself, so I try to get the free options as much as possible. But anyway, let's get back to the main word of the week: ammunition. The bottom line to this bottom line is stop providing ammunition, right? Or also, because what I'm receiving right now is that sometimes we get into a conversation and don't even realize it. We kind of let our words get away from us. We're not even thinking about what we say. And then afterwards, when we reflect on it, we start feeling bad. Like, man, I shouldn't have said that. I overshared. You ever have that moment where you're like, man, I overshared. Why did I tell them about what I did when I was in second grade? And now all of a sudden you're like, oh, I feel so uncomfortable, right? Oh, I feel so embarrassed, right? Meanwhile, is what God is saying is you're constantly sharing this ammunition and then feeling like a victim. Coming back to what I was talking about. Now you're feeling like a victim for a circumstance which you created. Now let's talk a little bit about power in those circumstances, right? You have the power to withhold that ammunition. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't share your truths with others, but I'm saying, and what Spirit has put on my heart to share with you, is that you cannot share your vulnerable truths with anyone and everyone. Let's talk discernment, right? Let's talk about knowing what to say, when to say it, and who to say it to. That doesn't mean that person on the bus stop that you just come across, that you happen to be waiting on the number 7 together, that all of a sudden you're going to start telling them about your cat, dog, brother, sister, mother, auntie, uncle, all those types of things. Now, listen, you might. It depends on your confidence. It depends on you using that discernment, though, right? Maybe in your mind, you're like, I'm never going to see this person again in my life. So this is the safest person to send my truths off with, right? But then at the same time, maybe they also take the number 7 quite often. And now there you go, looking at your secrets every other day, wondering who they shared it with. Because we're talking about ammunition. You're giving them the proverbial bullets to then in turn load their gun against you. Now let's take it even further again, right? Let's talk about people that we know gossip all the time. Or not even people that we know gossip, because that's very obvious, right? Let's talk about people who talk about their own family members, right? Talk about their own kids, right? They're like, man, I can't believe how this one is acting. They never fail to disappoint. Man, they will never amount to anything. They talk about these kids. They talk about their family like they are some bow wow dogs, right? Now, again, I am no exception to any of these rules because Lord knows I've had my moments. And that's why God knows he could speak to my heart on this subject, because I'm like, ooh, yeah, I've done that. I've totally done that. But you know what? We live and we learn. The reason I'm sharing these words of the week, the reason I'm sharing these channeled messages with you is not because you're already existing within perfection. It's because we have room to grow, room to heal, room to, air quotes, improve, if that's how you want to look at it. We're all works in progress. We all have space to ascend. Nobody's hit that actual ceiling, right? Because if you hit that ceiling, you're probably in heaven. And I don't know if they get this podcast in heaven. If they do, shout out to Jesus. Am I right or am I right? Anyway, back to the subject at hand, ammunition. I'm just going to leave you with a question, though. Right? Ponder on this. When was the last time you gave someone ammunition? When was the last time you gave someone ammunition? Whether it be against yourself or against someone else. Or when was the last time you received ammunition from someone else? Because let's not pretend we don't have our own, sidearms, our proverbial sidearms, ready to cock back and fire, right? Let's not pretend. Again, nobody is beyond perfection. Nobody is beyond healing in this space or place. And if you're listening to me, listen, you have lived a life, because I have too, and we are reflections of one another. That's why I love you. Anyway, I'm leaving you with those questions. Ask yourself that, ponder on it, and then ask yourself even further, what can I do to make sure that I'm not adding to this whole violence on violence problem in the world? What can I do to stifle the use and the selling of all of this ammunition that is going on around us? Maybe you have to stop a proverbial bullet in its tracks. Maybe you are the one who the stories stop with. Now, again, don't get it twisted. I'm not talking about you telling your truth. I'm not talking about you having to keep things quiet and behind closed doors and all of these toxic type patterns that we have been told and we have exemplified and all this type of stuff. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when you drag yourself through the mud with your words and you're doing it to someone else or with someone else. I'm talking about when you hear a story about somebody down the street and then you just can't wait to get it locked and loaded to tell somebody else, and you know they're going to use it against them. That's what we're talking about here. We're talking about ammunition. We're not talking about picking up flowers and blowing them in the wind. Now, that's a whole different story. But I've talked long enough, so hopefully you're taking what I am putting out there, you're picking up what I'm putting down, and all the other ways I can say the same thing. Because guess what, y'all? That's it. And as always, when this message resonates, that means, guess what? It is for you. And if it doesn't, that's cool too. Just keep it pushing. And let me take it even further. If it resonates for someone that you know, feel free to share this, because we are no longer gatekeeping our healing, our good words, our all of those types of things, right? But share with some oh Lord, what a word. Common sense. Boom. Share with some common sense, y'all. You know, sometimes I stutter. You love me anyway, right? Just as I love you. But anyway, we're not talking about that. We're talking about feel free to share. Feel free to follow me on all of social media. But listen up, y'all. I'm not really as heavy on social media anymore because I'm kind of off of it. And feel free to be off of it with me too. But I am on YouTube. That's one place you will find me faithfully. So make sure you subscribe, like, follow, comment, all those things. I try to respond to everyone as I can, but sometimes, listen, the algorithm will block your comments and I ain't got nothing to do with that. But it's all love. I hope to talk to you soon. And don't forget to check me out every single week, because there's a new podcast every single Monday, 5:55 a.m. Central Standard Time, released on all of the different podcast streaming services, all those types of things. So look me up. Just remember, when you look me up, it is Marissa Moments, and that is Marissa with one S, because as I like to always say, there is only one me. So that's it for real now. And until next time, happy healing.